We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the trend zone. Dave here with Casey. We are the football dudes. Are you ready, brother?
Dave, for the last time in 2024, I am ready. Let's go, baby.
Next stop, the Trend Zone. It is Tuesday, December 31st, coming at you from Los Angeles, California. And over here on the west side in Santa Monica, Casey, it is a foggy, cloudy 54. A little chilly, still a nice day, though.
Yeah, it's a beautiful 58 up here in the Sherm. Life is good, my friend. Happy New Year's Eve to all the peoples out there celebrating.
All right. We're going to take you into 25 with this weekend's action. We're going to get it started on today's episode with a little Survivor. We've named our champion. We also have our fantasy football championships to get to, Casey. And of course, we'll talk all the permutations in all of the awesome football games coming up this week in the NFL. But we cannot take a trip into the Trend Zone without a tasty nug for the people.
Oh, yeah, Dave. And you know I am holding, and regardless of what LBJ says, regardless of what the king thinks, Christmas belongs to the NFL, Dave. The NFL Christmas Day doubleheader set a streaming record on Netflix as the most streamed NFL games in U.S. history, with an average of over 24 mil for Ravens, Texans, and over 24 mil for the Chiefs and Steelers. Just to put that in comparison to what the king thinks, NBA's 5-game Christmas Day lineup averaged about 5.25 million viewers across its platform. What we know, what everybody knows, NFL dominates the globe. And, you know, Dave, I think part of these numbers are due to how many people already have Netflix subscriptions rather than having to go out and get another streaming platform.
No doubt. This isn't like the ESPN Plus deal. Everybody's already got their Netflix subscription for the most part. It's certainly not as many people, though, who have just got a regular broadcast TV subscription like the NBA had. So their platform was bigger than the NFL one, restricted to only Netflix subscribers there. Nonetheless, it did destroy the NBA's ratings for the week there, Casey. So
yeah,
pretty
and you know,
exciting.
I think a big part of that too was obviously in the second game, the Beyonce halftime show.
Yeah.
People were dialing in for that, and the production value of that. It was like a Super Bowl halftime. I think in these standalone games, we're going to see more of that moving
Yeah.
forward. But you know, Beyonce gets the eyeballs. And then Dave, I know we don't have a ton of time, but you want to run us through some of your favorite Beyonce songs real quick?
Oh wow. Okay. So, I mean,
Too
okay.
much time. I don't want to put you on
I
the
don't
spot.
have.
And make
I
you
don't
quick.
have time to really isolate one song or the other. Suffice to say, I was glued to my set. Couldn't miss a note. Beyonce was fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, Trend Zone show you are watching, listening to right now, available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead and get it. Thank you, folks. Casey, we normally do a bunch of top trending stories, but today's stories are really focused on the actual games and the draft and the positioning for the seeds, who's going to make the playoffs, who's not. We're going to get into all that action later. So we'll move it straight on to our fantasy highlight here. It is total fantasy domination. Who's the quarterback?
Dave, shake and bake, baby. How about my guy, Baker Mayfield? Not good enough for the Brownies, not good enough for the Panthers, good enough for the Cookie Monsters, and good enough to set these Bucks up for a trip to the playoffs, most likely. 359 pass yards and 5 touchdowns, dude. And before we move along, we sent around that image from the internet that's got Darnold and Baker in Carolina uniforms. Both of those guys are going to the playoffs. I don't know what's going on with the Panthers.
Wow, it's an interesting photo there with those two dudes on the Panthers, man, and now looking at their success not too long down the road. Okay, moving on to the running back fantasy star for the weekend, Casey. Jonathan Taylor, the Luna Tunas, also obviously the Indianapolis Colts, rushing for 125 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 11 receiving yards.
And congratulations to Bolt Action for winning the UFL Fantasy. His team was so good, he didn't even need T. Higgins. He left him on the bench with his 131 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns.
Woo! Wow. Unbelievable. How about Trey McBride? Finally got off the schneid and got that receiving touchdown that he had been seeking all season long. Trey McBride for the Cardinals, and Donkey Sean there, 123 receiving yards, and finally, as I said, the touchdown.
Oh, he
for
almost had
McBride.
2. He really needed that second one that bounced off the face mask.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
Brutal.
All right, Case. Fantasy was wrapped up this week, and as you mentioned, congrats to the Bolt Action for taking the trophy, and also
Away from the Foul Boys.
right away from the Foul Boys. A peaceful transition of power, thankfully, with all the people involved. Cookie Monsters coming in second. It was the Purple Sabbath in third. But I like to focus on who was able to, without their number one overall pick, the number one pick in the draft, somehow navigate a team to very impressive 11th place finish, edging out the 12th place team, the Green Bud Packers. That's my team. That's right. Lightning Strikes coming in 11th, baby.
And dude, they it wasn't because the Packers weren't trying 58 different waiver moves. So congratulations. If those translated into victories, Green Bay Packers would be there. And Dave, I had some points on the bench. Keon Coleman, he got me an 8, but it was not enough to overcome the Ogre Never Algo in the Toilet Bowl Championship. So, hey, back-to-back championship appearances for the Foul Boys. Not too bad. I won the one that mattered. Just my team was in shambles all year. Could never get traction. And shockingly to say, Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce really let me down this year.
Yeah, I could have dominated. I only won by 2.5 points, but I could have dominated if I'd have played Malik Neighbors over Cooper Cup. That would have gotten me, I don't know, 26 more points or something like that. And I won by 2.5. So, woo, narrow victory. But hey, staying out of the 12th place is a little something there. Hold on to that.
It's the small things, Dave.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Survivor 3 Strikes, Casey. This one also wrapped up, but last week, the most popular correct pick was
our Los Angeles Rams over the Arizona Cardinals at just under 16%. Congratulations to Nate Dogg for pulling it together. Only one loss on the entire year.
Wow.
He had the Rams in this game. And like I said, the little pass bouncing off of Trey McBride's face mask at the end there preserved the win. So congratulations to Nate Dogg.
Last week's most popular incorrect pick, Casey.
And this was the pick that did me in. It was the Indianapolis Colts losing to Drew Lock and those sweet moves to the Giants. But don't feel bad for me, Dave, because it was almost 45% of the country that went down with that pick. And I had targeted 3 games. I liked Seattle at Chicago. I liked the Rams versus Arizona. And I liked Miami at Cleveland. Well, I wake up Sunday morning, find out that there's no Tua. Can't go back to Thursday or Saturday. Yeah. So I pivot to Indy with Joe Flacco against those hapless Giants. And apparently Malik Neighbors is pretty good at football, Dave.
Yep.
So
not so hapless after all. And that also knocked out Don, who is the third remaining person there. So it whittled down from 3 to 1 based on that one.
Yeah. Hey, at least I get a split of that second and third. We're chopping those instead of third place. So it is a small win, but I should have stayed with the Dolphins.
Casey, if there are still people out there, though, there are a couple of nice picks for this upcoming week.
Yeah, Baltimore over Cleveland over 15%, Green Bay over Chicago 15%. Good luck if you have those guys. Atlanta, I was looking at that as my week 18 pick, maybe 2. I kept the Rams. That's over 14%. And Tampa Bay over New Orleans, almost 14%.
All righty. Moving on to the good stuff, Casey. It is the games coming up. It is the final day of the year 2024. It is the final week of the regular season. It is week 18 NFL action.
Wait. What did you say?
Week 18 coming at you.
Week 18?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's slipping away, Dave.
Damn near slipped away entirely. Most of these teams, this is the last showing. And then it really comes down to just those standalone games. But we'll get this week started, though, Casey, with some good action on Saturday. As we have a couple of games for the people. We'll get it started. It is the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens are favored by a stunning 17.5 points in this game. Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah, and it's all AFC North on Saturday. Those Brownies, you mentioned 3-13. They currently have the third pick in the draft. DTR does not look like he's the guy moving forward, even though I'm rooting for him. He just hasn't shown enough. Deshaun says he's going to restructure that contract to try to save some money. I'm not sure what that guy's got left in the tank, but dude, these Baltimore Ravens, they have something to play for. They're 11-5. They've clinched a playoff berth, but they can win that AFC North with a win and a Pittsburgh loss. So I fully expect the Ravens to handle their biz in this game and just move on. And they get to sit home and watch and be huge Bengal fans on Saturday night. And speaking of Bengals, Dave, that next game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Bengals are 1.5 favorites on the road.
Yeah, and this is a big game because it's one of the few games this weekend where both teams really have a lot riding on the game. One team's not just positioning for the draft and the other positioning for the playoffs. This is a big one. Cincinnati is not in right now, but they are arguably one of the hottest teams in the league right now. They will clinch a playoff berth with a win, of course, against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That's a tough call right there, but they also need the help. Denver has to lose and Miami has to lose. So it's a three-way deal. Their deal is right here. There's the Steelers on the other side of the field. Take care of your business. Then you head into Sunday and hope that the other teams, the other games fall your way. And next thing you know, you're the team that no one wants to see in the playoffs, baby. Pittsburgh on the other side, they have already clinched their playoff berth at 10-6 right now, but they will have the division title and the number 3 seed if they can get this win, and they need Baltimore to lose. So Baltimore has to lose for them to leapfrog them. But of course, that game will be going on, at basically the same.
Yeah, Pittsburgh will know what have happened, or that game is probably going to be over at halftime. I can't imagine that Cleveland comes out ready to go. I'm assuming that the Ravens will be sitting in the second
we'll
half
see
of that.
how Pittsburgh reacts to that situation developing in the other game. So it'll be fascinating, but certainly Cincinnati is going to be playing and just, this is their chance.
But it's criminal that it's coming down to a Week 18 game for these stupid Bengals. Joe Burrow and that offense is so
been amazing.
Good. Yeah, it's really it's bad news for that stupid franchise that it's coming down to this. They got to figure something out because
they dig a hole every year. It seems like they're 1-3 or whatever it is, and then they have to get out of it. And a couple of these wins were so close for them that turned into losses. They're sitting there at 8-8 right now. So again, that is going to be dangerous team if they can find a way to sneak in. It's a long shot though still.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move it on to Sunday morning, the early games, or the early slate, depending on where you're located. We've got the Washington Commanders at your Dallas Cowboys, Casey. The Commanders are on the road, favored by 4.5.
Yeah, and the Commandos clinched last week with that win over the Falcons. Although Raheem Morris, bro, you don't get to keep your timeouts. You get to keep them, but they're worthless after the game. Really poor decision not to do it. Made that field goal that could have made this game matter not happen. It was a 56-yarder, but we'll talk about the Falcons in a little bit. But right now, those Commandos would be the 6th seed. The Phillies already got the NFC East wrapped up, so Washington can advance to a 5 seed. If Green Bay loses, but I don't think that's going to happen. Dallas currently sitting with the 13th pick in the draft. Will we see Trey Lance on Sunday, Dave? Or are they trying to hide this guy and then re-sign him on the cheap next year? I don't know what the hell's going on there. A lot of changes coming in Dallas. I thought maybe Big Mike had coached well enough to keep his job, but then when you look at the blowouts for this team, that's a disturbing trend.
Yeah.
And especially the way they showed up at Philly. I know Philly's more talented, but I could go either way now. If they blow it up and I'm on board, Dave. Change has to happen in Dallas. I know Dak is out, but
one thing is, Casey, it's great to just get the guy out of there, but you also have to have who's coming in kind of worked out. And if there isn't somebody out there that really has a better resume than McCarthy, you've got some endorsements out there. Aikman, even Dak himself said he'd be 100% with bringing McCarthy back. So, it's the buy-in inside that locker room that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
Not the
it'll
fans.
be interesting
because we know your fan base.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, it's one of the most awful ones in the NFL. But Dave, let's get out of the NFC East, move it to the AFC South. It is the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans. And this right now, Dave, is a pick 'em.
Yeah, wow. Obviously, the Texans here are going to the playoffs, and their situation is locked into place. They have clinched the AFC South, and that would give them the number 4 seed. They cannot wiggle higher or lower in the seeding, so they don't have to play. This is a possible rest situation for them. Get everybody out that's banged up at all, and then see if you can still win the football game. Tennessee on the other side of the equation. They currently pick second in next year's draft. Don't know if Levis is the answer at this point. Certainly the benching of Levis in favor of Mason Rudolph in the last handful of weeks gives us the idea that they've seen enough of Levis at this point. Maybe they're going to add a quarterback there and do not want to accidentally win this football game and somehow end up with the 6th or 7th pick instead of the 2nd pick.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who Houston fields as a team in this one. I doubt we see Dre Stroud for more than a series, if at all, especially with how, the Tank Dell injury a couple
and they've
weeks
been banged
ago.
up. Yeah.
They are super banged up. They know they have a home game, so I don't know that we see those guys at all. And then Tennessee, dude, Malik Willis wasn't the answer. Will Levis wasn't the answer. Is Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders the answer? I don't know.
I'm beginning to wonder what the question is.
Yeah. Tennessee has definitely not got the question right, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they perform on that last game.
Yep. All right, moving it along. It is the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs are favored by 13 in this one. Wow.
Yeah, Saints currently have that 10th pick in the draft. Lots of uncertainty there. Spencer Rattler showed some good, some bad. What is the future of Derek Carr? Lots of questions on an aging roster.
New coach.
So lots of questions there. With these Bucs, baby, it's simple. Win and you're in. Or Atlanta lost and tie. But I love what we saw out of these Bucs last week. They dismantled those Panthers. Baker having a phenomenal game. Hopefully they're getting healthy enough to do it. Baker, what a great year. Bucky Irving, what a great year. They're going to have their hands full no matter who these Bucs have to play if they get into the playoffs, but that's for next week. But this should be all Tampa Bay, win this game, and then move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, the way that Baker Mayfield's been playing, the way that Evans has been catching the football and Bucky Irvin has been running the football, this team, when they click, they are hard to stop on offense.
Yeah, and hopefully they can get Otten back for the playoffs too. That would go a long way. All right, Dave, let's move it along. It is the Chicago Bears there at the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers are 9.5-point favorites in this game.
Yep, and the Bears are currently picking 9th in the draft, so not exceptionally high, but top 10 pick can go a long way to building around that quarterback, for the future there. But on the other side, it's the Green Bay Packers. They're 11-5, and they have already clinched a playoff berth. They are currently the 7 seed, but they could be the 6 seed with a win and a Washington loss. And I do believe both the Packers and Washington would like to be that 6th seed. Whatever the reasoning behind that is, I'm guessing that both this Packers team and Washington will be playing to win the football game. That is, playing all of their players with the opportunity to get the highest seeding that is possible.
Yeah, we could have a 12-win 7 seed and a 14-win 5 seed in the NFC.
Starts to wonder about, should the whole division champion automatically host a game? I mean,
they should. I know sometimes we have these years, but you win your division, right? You get that home game, baby. I don't care what your record is.
Yeah, it's great when you have a Kansas City Chiefs in your division that win it every single year. So no home games for any of the other teams in the AFC West.
And maybe if you win 10 straight divisions in a row, you have to go on the road. You don't get to bye.
Yeah, or you miss the playoffs entirely. All right, where are we? Oh yeah, Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts in I would say arguably the least meaningful game of the whole week. The Colts are favored by 5 though.
Yeah, and maybe the most disappointing game of the week
Yeah.
too. Jags had big aspirations. They're currently the 5th pick in the draft. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence out with injury, hasn't played as well as he needs to. What is Doug Peterson's future here? And then the Colts last week, I know it wasn't Anthony Richardson, but that defense was pathetic against the Giants, and they were fighting for a playoff berth, and they gave up 40 points to Drew Lock and those 6 shooters, where the Giants hadn't won a game at all, but it was the defense that I didn't like there. So maybe that's it for Gus Bradley, but these Colts are currently picking 12th.
Yep. It's Steichen's job. Also, slightly, possibly, I heard some rumors, but I would stay with Steichen there. No doubt about it. Okay. Moving on.
It is the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites in the Saquon Bowl.
How about that? I mean, how much vengeance could he get? If he could get 101 yards worth more of vengeance, and I told you so in there. Obviously, there's a lot going on here. First, the Giants, they currently pick 4th in the draft. There's nothing really for them to gain by winning this football game.
There was nothing for them to gain last week.
Last week either.
Oh, Dave, Albert!
They went off the number 1 pick, of course, which they were sitting on for that 1 week, I believe. And now they're picking 4th. Moving on to the Eagles, they've obviously clinched the NFC East and the number 2 seed. So, in essence, they are locked into place, meaning they don't need to play any of their starters. Certainly, we're wondering who's going to play at quarterback. We got Pickett, who's been banged up. We got Hurts coming off the concussion situation there. You've got a couple of obviously, everybody's got a bruise or two on them. But do they want to get Saquon out there and get him that 101 yards to get him that record? Or do they hold it back and say, hey, Saquon, you're not suiting up this week. Sorry, pal. We need you 100% go. We can't risk it. We need you for the playoffs.
Yeah, this is such a hard one, Dave, because it's
tough one.
This never comes up. You know, it's been Eric Dickerson. It's been since 84, whatever the hell it was. It's been a long ass time since it's happened. And maybe you go out there. I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be because Pickett got banged up last week. No need to rush Hurts back with that concussion. Let him sit another week. But maybe you give this line and Saquon a quarter to earn this. I mean, he's so close. When you're going to get here again? But if he goes out there and gets hurt in this meaningless game, but you know he would love to get this against the Giants. You know that the video is going around with the GM saying, do we really pay $12 million to a 27-year-old running back? Looks like plenty of ROI for the Eagles on that deal. So I can see either way. It sounds like the Eagles are going to sit him, but
I think Sirianni said they're going to talk it over and let the team decide if
the team's going to want him out there, dude.
Right. So
they can't let the team decide.
That sounded like that was the process that was going to take place, and which I would agree with you, which would lead to him playing probably for the first half and see, hey, how close are we here? You know,
what if you get to the end of the first half and he's sitting at like 75 yards? Yeah, you bring him into the next half.
Right? Yeah. At some point,
they're going to have their hands full, you know, the following week too. So I get it. It's going to be fascinating watch. I would like to see Saquon for him. I don't want an Eagle to have this, but also to stick it to the Giants. So I'm all over the place, Dave. I don't know what I want.
Yeah, the last thing in the world that anyone wants really is Saquon getting banged up somehow and being unavailable the next week when it really counts.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. It is the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons at home favored by 9. And this one is, of course, very important for the Falcons, not so much for the Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers sitting there with the 6th pick. We mentioned it. Darnold gone. Baker gone. Although Bryce Young's been playing pretty good football, but that team has a ton of holes. And Atlanta, dude, I think Raheem Morris cost those guys bungling those timeouts. He did it in the first half. Should have did it even worse in the second half. They
terrible.
They let so much time run off the clock, and
Right.
Penix was cooking, dude. It would have been a total different story, but they had to settle on a 56-yard field goal, which was good, but just short. They let that time go off the clock. So,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah,
had
bad
2
clock management.
timeouts.
I mean, it's as
Yeah.
simple as that. There's
What
no
would
way.
Boomer Esiason say?
Bad clock management, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's
And
what it is.
now they're
You don't have
fighting
a
for their
rookie
life.
quarterback out there and expect him to have the wherewithal to call that timeout like that. That's the coach. That
Yeah.
coach has to do that right then and there. Step in and say, "We have 2 timeouts.
Yeah.
Use one of them.
And now they're at the
Preserve."
mercy of the Bucks, who are hosting the Saints. So they'll have a
Lucky them.
long offseason to go. And then also, um, what is Kirk Cousins' deal moving forward? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's going to be a trade bait guy and then a cut. Right.
Yeah.
We'll see if somebody wants that contract.
All right, Dave, let's move it on. It's the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots, and the Bills are 2.5-point favorites in this one.
Yeah, and another one where not a lot to be gained or lost here. Bills are currently the division winners of the AFC East. That's been the case for quite some time now. They have officially clinched the number 2 seed, cannot go up, cannot go down. They are locked into place as to the 2 seed with the option to sit as many players as they'd like in this game. Um, and then, of course, the Patriots currently pick number 1 in the draft. And they've actually speculated sitting Drake May or many of their players that might be banged up. This is an opportunity for them to have they have their quarterback, and if they can get that number 1 pick, they can entice teams to trade up with them and get a large bounty that can really help fill out the talent that this roster. But if you assume that Mayo is going to be the man there, and you've got Drake May, now you've got that in place. So that means this could turn into a big opportunity for them to pick a ton, get an extra handful of picks there. I don't know about the how. Should be able to win this football game and not have to play very many starters because the Patriots absolutely want to lose this football game.
Yeah, Trubes. Maybe they can lube Trubes a little bit and have him, do one of his throwback performances. But Buffalo's second team might be able to beat these Patriots. And like you said, dude, the Patriots do not want to win this football game.
No doubt. Okay, moving over to the late slot. It is San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are at home and favored by 3.5 in a game that is just about draft status.
Yeah, the Niners currently have the 11th pick in the draft, and the Cardinals had the 14th pick. And man, if the Cardinals could have won last week, it would have made that Rams-Seattle game uber tasty. But like we said, the ball bouncing off of McBride's face mask, and then going back to what we're talking about fantasy, San Francisco, all kind of banged up this season. So many injuries across the board, and a big decision looming with Brock Purdy. They're going to sign him, but what is the dollar amount to that? What's it going to be?
It's going to be pretty expensive, I'm sure. There's no cheap out there with a guy that's had the success he's had. So get ready to open up your wallet there.
Yeah, the basement's 40 million, right? Could he get 50?
Oh, he's asking for 60, so I'm guessing it's going to land above 50.
Wow. Damn, it's good to be a quarterback these days. Speaking of it's good to be a quarterback, it's good to have this guy. We're talking the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. Dave, the Broncos are 10-point favorites in this game?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, this is another one. If we go back in time a little bit, if the Chiefs would have lost last week, this could have been a very interesting game because then the number 1 seed would still be at stake in the bye. Unfortunately, the Chiefs, with their 15-1 record, wrapped up the AFC West long ago, but wrapped up the number 1 seed and the first round bye, the home field advantage that goes with that. They
Dave,
don't
we could have played this show from last year, this week, the year before.
Just cut and paste this segment
thing,
in, right? And Denver, of course, 2 weeks ago on the Thursday night, they had an opportunity to win at SoFi Stadium against our Chargers, and win, and you're in. They didn't get it done. Last week, they had an opportunity to win, and you're in. Again, that game slipped away from them. So against the Bengals. Very, very hot team. Bengals are dangerous here, but this is still in Denver's wheelhouse right here.
Mhm.
All they have to do to clinch the playoffs is win again. So it's the third week in a row. It's a win and you're in situation for Denver. If they lose, they open up the door and they will allow Miami or Cincinnati to steal their spot. But of course, if Miami wins, they would be the one. And if they don't win, then Cincinnati wins and they would be the team that would steal that spot. If Miami and Cincinnati both lose and Denver loses, Denver still retains their position.
Dude, that was a great game with Cincy last week in
Fantastic.
Denver. I love that football game. It's like not caring who wins. It was just beautiful to watch. Bo
Well,
Nix is getting a gift. Probably no Chris Jones in this. I would say definitely no Chris Jones.
yeah.
The Broncos also get a gift. No Patrick Mahomes. Maybe they do a drive, but I doubt it. That
The
those guys
only
are going to
reason
rest
you would
up.
think they would is because they're going to have they already did have a long break because they haven't played since Christmas Day, and then they're going to have another week off also. So if you actually don't play them, it is a really long time off. I think it's up towards something like 24 days
This is
from
the
the end of
Chiefs, though,
that.
bro. I'm not worried about these cats at all. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
And
you
we
might
know
want,
Andy Reid is better off the bye. So
yeah.
his record off the bye is ridiculous.
And
So
Mahomes still working that ankle a little bit. Carson Wentz has gotten not many reps in
yeah,
this offense. Pacheco's
makes
been banged
sense.
up. Get some of these other cats in there and get healthy. And
Yeah.
then get whoever's coming their week 2. But
And that's why
damn,
the Broncos are favored by 10.
the Broncos, dude. Oh my God, it's so much pressure. But let's see how they respond.
Yeah, young quarterback, rookie
Mhm.
quarterback.
Gonna
Will
be
he?
good.
He's going to be real good. Okay, moving on. Seattle Seahawks at our Los Angeles Rams, and the Seahawks are on the road, and they're favored by 5 in this one.
Yeah, dude. It could have had so much drama, but
It
Arizona
was.
could not help. The Rams clinched the NFC West, currently the 3 seed. They could drop to the 4 with a loss and a Tampa Bay win versus New Orleans, which is likely to happen, the Tampa part. But I'd imagine that this Seahawks team is deflated after the way it went down last week and knowing that they don't have a chance to do anything, but maybe sizzling your divisional foe would do that. But the Rams, dude, this is a team no one's really going to want to mess with going forward, man.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
love Puka
potential.
Nacua. I love what Stafford's doing. And Kyron Williams, dude, one of my favorite running backs in the league. So if this team can get a little healthy too, they can win on the road, dude.
hmm
This Rams team is going to be scary. It's going to be a brutal first round matchup, but they've been playing some great football down the stretch here.
No question. I mean, they were so banged up early in the preseason and then in the regular season, so banged up, and they were able to weather the storm there and keep themselves in contention. And
Mhm.
then they found their rhythm, just like they did last year, and they went on to a decent playoff run here. We'll see. Like you said, there's a lot of nice pieces to this Rams puzzle, and Sean McVay can coach them up. So, yeah, there will be a dangerous team, and obviously sitting there at the 3 seed, man, that's pretty impressive what they've done there to get to 10 and
Absolutely.
6.
After effing all them picks a couple years ago,
Yep.
parlaying that into a Super Bowl, now restocking that roster, hitting on
Yes.
these late picks, man. The
Yeah.
Rams are doing a great job across the board and opening that new facility right down the road from my house. All right, Dave, let's keep it with the LA theme. It's our playoff bound Los Angeles Chargers at the
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders, and our Chargers in tribute to Junior, baby, 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah, that's right. LA Chargers have clinched a playoff berth officially. They are currently the 6th seed, but they could become the 5 seed. And how could that happen? Well, Pittsburgh losing to Cincinnati on Saturday opens the door for the Chargers to win and get that 5th seed. That is crucial, conceivably, because that would mean that they would be heading towards Houston to play the Texans, who have been a little banged up, and as opposed to either going to Pittsburgh or Baltimore, or they can't go to Buffalo because the Chargers are locked in at 6 and Buffalo's locked in at 2. Uh, so Chargers got a lot to play for here, especially they'll have even more information on that, assuming the
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh loss to Cincinnati. Now I'm just assuming that. Of course, that's both those teams playing for a lot. And it is possible, though, that this could be a 5th seeded Charger game and that this game could mean a lot more to the Chargers. However, if that game goes the other direction and Cincinnati loses, And Chargers have nothing to play for here except for to try and stay healthy. I imagine, though, they'll still try and go out and beat the Raiders because this is obviously divisional hatred. But let's go to the Raiders side of the thing here. A couple weeks back, they had the number 1 pick, and they were sitting pretty there. Unfortunately, Antonio Pierce rallied the troops, and the Raiders have won 2 straight games. It's interesting being a Raider fan during this time period and having our Raiders win and knock themselves way away from the top pick and currently picking 8th right now. I'm sure the Raiders would like to win this game and pick even lower because Antonio Pierce and a lot of those dudes are playing for their futures.
Mm-hmm. And you got to wonder what the TB12 factor is into this one. How much say will he have? Will he want to bring Vrabel in to coach his team next year? Has Pierce done enough for management to keep that job? It's been pretty remarkable considering the level of quarterback play that they've gotten there. It's been inconsistent at best. Is AOC the guy moving forward? Minshew is just a stopgap. They brought in Ritter. I don't see him being a long-term solution. So they are most likely gonna need a quarterback, and Tom Brady's not putting on the silver and black there, but it'll be interesting to see a lot of change coming with these Raiders moving forward too.
No doubt about it, and we'll see where they're picking is going to be certainly impactful, but it's going to be tough from 8th if they do want to jump up and get that franchise quarterback. So I think organizationally would take a hard-fought loss, but I know those guys on the field are going to be doing everything they can to get this win against the Chargers.
Yep.
All right, up next, the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets, and the Dolphins on the road are favored by 1. We don't know the status of A1 Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, dude, and this is a big game. I'm not sure if we see Tua back. He does have that hit, but Miami can clinch a playoff berth if they win and Denver loses. So there's a good chance that can actually happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing the Jets, right? So there's step 1 looks very doable. That Denver loss, though, we'll see. They're going to need the second string Chiefs team to really rally.
Yeah, and the Jets sitting there with the 7th pick, man. The Aaron Rodgers experiment has completely failed. Will there be a 2025 version of this? They brought over Devontae. They cleaned house with the coaching staff, so that's going to be a new gig. Got a really bothersome billionaire owner that can't keep his stupid mitts off of the team. Yeah. Is that going to keep them in being Jets forever? Because when you're a Jet for life. And if Woody has any impact on that, it's going to stay. So this is not where we thought we would see the New York Jets at 4-12 going into Week 18. We thought they would have something to play for. But knowing Jet fan, they would love to sizzle the Dolphins and keep them out of the playoffs. Is it worth sacrificing a top 10 pick? I don't know.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers may or may not be there next year, but this is maybe conceivably the last time he puts on a Jets uniform. And he maybe wants to go out there and light it up and just show him, hey, you could keep me, or someone else.
Dave, I think you drink ayahuasca. I don't think you light it.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. I don't know how to do it as well as Aaron. I didn't watch the Enigma, so.
Yeah. And the other thing is, where's Jordan Travis? He had the brutal knee injury last year about this time in the season. It was a little earlier than that. Is he coming along? Is he going to get back? Because he was playing some of the best football in college last year. Yeah. Where is his recovery? I haven't heard anything about it. Is he anywhere close to playing? If he is, maybe you want to see him. But I also see giving him a whole nother offseason, make sure everything's intact. But is he in play for the quarterback of the future for this team? So maybe run it back with one more year with the Enigma.
Yeah, and to cut him will cost a lot of money. So there is that consideration as well.
Yeah. All right. It's going to be a billionaire. Up next, we have Sunday Night Football. Dave, once again, NFL gets it right. It's coming down to the last game of the season. All that's gone by. We have the 14-2 Minnesota Vikings at the 14-2 Detroit Rock City Lions. The Lions are 2.5-point favorites. You remember how crazy the home playoff game was last year? This game will be more bananas than that. I can guarantee it, dude. This thing is going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of these teams have clinched a playoff berth, but still a ton to play for. The winner of the game is the NFC North Champion. the number 1 seed. They get the first round bye and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The loser of this football game drops to the 5 seed, right? And they got to play a wild card game on the road with a 14-win season. Right. I mean, my gosh, what is at stake here? And this is coming down to the last game of the last week of the season that we're going to get to see these two battle it out. We kind of had this one earmarked about a month ago when we were peeking ahead. Hey, this one might be for the division. Sure enough, it's panned out that way with both of these teams just absolutely tearing it up. When I think about it, though, the Lions, they're at home. Like you said, the atmosphere is going to be insane there. But they have been really banged up, losing a lot of their dudes, especially on defense. Montgomery was a big loss there. And this Vikings defense, man, they can play some crazy, amoeba. Everybody's running around. You don't know where the pressure's coming from. Man, there's going to be this is going to be a game where every down matters,
For about the last month of the season, I've been thinking, like, I think the Vikings are good.
Yeah.
And I think they're a really good team. Sam
Yeah.
Darnold, I love it. Obviously, everybody's seen
Great
the video
story.
of him in the locker room afterwards, just celebrating with the dudes. You could see like the primal joy finally. And this guy, we
Yeah.
knew he was a star dude at SC. We saw it. Went to a shitty organization. Not sorry, Jets, but you guys did him dirty. Went to Carolina. They did him dirty. He got some good coaching with San Francisco. He's got great coaching here with O'Connell. And you see the success, dude. He's having a phenomenal season. And you mentioned that Brian Flores defense, dude. This is a complete team. And Aaron Jones, man, you bring a heartbeat type player in there. He's got such a huge role on this team. The best receiver in Jeddah, maybe. I mean, there is so much to love about this Vikings team. That being said, they were 1/3 down away from losing to the Pack last week, but they didn't. They made the play when they had to have it. And this Vikings team, man, I think they have a chance to put the NFL on notice. But that being said, I also watched what the Lions have done all season, especially last night in a game where they had to duke it out. They could easily say, you know what? This doesn't matter. Let's go ahead. It's not going our way tonight. They said, bullshit. That is not in their DNA. They took over that game. Jared Goff playing some of the best football in the NFL right now, too. I am a little bit worried about that defense. But what I really love about the Ben Johnson offense, Dave, last night I saw 5 or 6 plays that looked the same when they start and were completely different.
Yeah, and they've also got that some trick play like the hook and lateral, one or two always queued up where, and they're willing to do it. We saw that they're willing to go for it on fourth, as much if not more than any team in the league. They just play a fun brand of football, no doubt about it. This game, I like both teams so much and both stories about both teams so much that this is going to be fantastic. You're right. Bringing Aaron Jones over to that Vikings offense. This was a team that in the handful of years prior to this, they played well. Even when Cousins went down, they had the other quarterbacks coming in. They couldn't run the football though. Nope. And now they're not like their top running team or anything. They're in the middle of the pack, but they can run the football. They can run it when they need to. They can get productivity out of the run game. And Jones is also great out of the backfield receiving football. So that added a diversity or dimension to the team that didn't exist in the prior couple of seasons. Darnold, we knew he was good in all this, but this is the product of hard work from Sam Darnold and his talent, and also great coaching from Kevin O'Connell, and like you mentioned last year on the 49ers.
And then I think both the Lions or the Vikings, whoever ends up losing this game, might be Falcons fan, because if the Falcons can get in instead of the Bucs, that means that's another game indoors. Yeah. So both these teams love the carpet. Jared Goff is obviously a better player indoors, but man, if Detroit has home field throughout, that's going to be tough to go in there and get a dub, bro. And I love I love both of these teams, dude. I'll be rooting for both of them to go through. Obviously, I hate a couple teams that are going to be in this NFC side of playoffs, but awesome. It's going to be so good, dude.
Yep, it is going to be incredible finale for the regular season, and that's just going to launch us into an amazing playoffs here in the 2025, beginning of 2025. Hopes everybody stays safe for the New Year's Eve holiday tonight and gets a jump on their 2025 and all of their, whatever plans on self-improvement and whatnot. Good luck with those things, folks. That is going to do it for the Trend Zone. So many ways you can check out the football dudes. The Trend Zone is now available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music subscriptions. Download there and like us and all that good stuff.
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Football Dudes. Look for us on YouTube. We are there. Like us on Instagram and Facebook, and follow us on X at Football Dudes LA. Make sure you tag us across all social media platforms.
Yep, or just head on over to footballdudes.com. It's there for you. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Casey, I'm Dave, and we are out of here.
Merry New Year.